Obviously, it was a good performance by Kennedy, as you noted, but what did you think of Bisping tonight? Did you think it was the real Bisping?
Yeah, it was the real Bisping. You know what the reality is? Kennedy did, and he did exactly what he said. Bisping wouldn't throw any punches because he didn't want to get taken down again. He didn't realize how dominant he was going to be on the ground. And it was the classic example of when a guy, gets the takedowns and has great jiu-jitsu like that, it's going to clam a guy up. He's going to get gun shy and not throw punches.
Do you think Kennedy?
It wasn't a crowd pleaser. Not a fight where people were home going, "Woo, this is awesome!" But the guy put on a pretty dominant performance.
Dana, can you explain the
Bisping in terms of the style matchup there? You're not unhappy with what he came back to because he's been out a year.
He got dominated. I mean, he got right when Kennedy first shot on him. I'm like, what's he trying to do? Take Bisping. Bisping's got unbelievable. Boom, took him down, controlled him on the ground, mounted him several times, took his back. I mean, Bisping's great wrestler on the ground and stand-up. He's a very well-rounded, tough guy, and Kennedy shut him down on the ground. Again, like I say, those are fights that aren't like, woohoo, this is great. But the guy was extremely dominant.
just about Nordine Taleb? We saw him fight tonight, and then he's also on TUF 19 tonight for the fights to get into the house.
Right.
How did that whole situation play out going on back-to-back seasons like that?
Well, obviously he didn't make it into the house. You didn't see it, but he didn't make it into the house. But he was a real tough kid that we all liked. So this was going on at the same time, and he was Canadian, so we did it.
And you just got to try out for
Yeah.
both seasons.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you tell us how the Gina Carano meeting went this past week?
It went good. She wants to fight. We don't have a deal, but she wants to fight.
Would you give me like a time frame she's looking at, or?
Yeah, well, let's see if we come to a deal, and then I'll talk about Gina.
I thought she owed fights to you guys still from her Strikeforce
She's
contract.
under contract, but that doesn't mean anything. Her contract with Strikeforce actually expires in June.
So, and also now that the Wanderlei and Chael episode is aired with the brawl and all that, can you kind of give us more unfiltered thoughts on how that whole situation played out and just?
Yeah, it was, there are a bunch of idiots in the media and on the internet saying, "Oh, that thing looks contrived," and everything. It was far from contrived. That thing was a disgusting display of, what shouldn't happen. And if I was there, that would have never happened. The fact that there were other people, even people holding cameras in that fucking place, and let that happen is just beyond belief. And then the kid that runs in and sucker punches Chael from behind, and it was just, it's as bad as it can get.
Is that fight between Chael and Wanderlei still happening out UFC 175? Chael's on Twitter calling out Rich Franklin and stuff. Like, what do you?
Chael, that fight's going to happen. What happened was Chael got hurt in that fight. I mean, Vanderlei got hurt in that fight. He got double-legged on the concrete. Yeah, he hurt his back and hurt his hand punching Chael in the head, and he got injured. So couldn't fight on time because he got hurt in the fight. Fucking coaching the show. It's disgusting.
How angry does that make you?
Huh?
How angry does that make you?
I'm done being angry now. I was angry when it happened, and it's just disgusting. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, you saw me. I'm going to fire them both. Yeah. Oh, I thought you said fire them. I don't know. They're grown men. You know what I mean? They're grown men getting in each other's face, and I'm more pissed off at the people that were standing around producing, filming.
Yesterday there was kind of a lot of outrage on social media about this thing with John Jones. Yeah, can you kind of talk about that?
Well, that's definitely worth being outraged about. He got hacked. So originally when I found out he was saying he was being hacked, I was like, what, are we all going to say stupid stuff in this? But if you look at his timeline, first of all, he rarely ever posts anything or responds on
Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram. And, he got hacked. It happened. They got in there. They changed his password. Like 11 people had his password, that surround him. And we got that squashed and taken care of yesterday.
Do you think that it sucks that this is probably going to take away some of the attention from his fight next week, and people are probably going to be asking?
This thing actually wasn't very. There was no real reaction to it. Once he admitted, had put out that he was hacked. People, all you got to do is look at his timeline and read the things he was saying, and he was hacked.
Dana, last week the WWE came out with their subscriber numbers for their network. They weren't a home run. DirecTV has now dropped their pay-per-views. Does that have any?
What did they say their subscribers?
667,000.
Not a home run.
No,
They
it's
needed 1 million, I think.
a million was.
Pretty fucking strong.
Well-
for something that's never, it's never been done. It's never been done. I mean, Vince McMahon, Vince isn't a big fan of us and always says negative shit about us, but I'll say this. The guy's a pioneer. He's always been a pioneer. And if you want to sit around and wait for Vince McMahon to lose, you're going to be fucking waiting for a long time. That number is
It wasn't a failure.
It's a
just
very good
not
number.
Where they, I
yeah.
think, wanted, but
Well, I think their paper. They did it for a reason. Their business was having trouble in those areas already, and I haven't heard one negative thing about the WWE network. Everybody who has it talks about how fantastic it is, that it's unbelievable, it's revolutionary. It's
when it comes to like DirecTV, just advertising space, for instance, would more of that now, benefit you when it comes to promoting pay-per-views with WWE not being a focal point for DirecTV at all now?
I don't think whether WWE is on there or off there, it affects us one way or another. I've always said we're two completely different markets. We don't, is there some crossover? Sure, there is in boxing too. But I don't think with Vince being on DirecTV or being off DirecTV, it helps or hurts our business one way or the other.
How are you looking at the Rory Tyrone fight? How big picture? Where does that?
It's an important fight for that division and for them, and it's a fun fight. I think that's going to be a really good fight.
I know you don't like doing matchmaking. Do you look at that? With where
matchmaking? What do you
Well,
mean?
no,
I don't like
sorry,
making
no,
predictions.
Right.
But
Well, no, but do you go into that fight thinking if the winner may get Hendricks?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely one of those fights that puts a guy in contention. Is the winner of that fight going to get that? I don't do.
Yeah.
What do you make of Nick Diaz saying he's only going to come back and fight for $500,000?
Nick Diaz has a contract. I mean, the whole crazy thing with the Diaz brothers. This is one of those situations that's going to be sad in a few years when you look back on it, and you're going to say, two talented kids that had, fans and had interest in fighting, and they sat out. What people don't realize, and when you're in the moment and your time is now, guys don't realize till it's over. You will never make that kind of money again for the rest of your life. It's like you should fight as much as you could possibly fight, get as popular as you could possibly get, and make as much money as you possibly can. Coming off 2 losses and saying, coming off 2 losses, then you get a win. The Nate Diaz thing. Nate was in position. He fought for the title. Then he fought again to put himself back in title contention and got knocked out in that fight. And now wants a new contract and wants, a title shot and all. It's just not how this stuff works. So you can sit out, you can talk all you want, you can tweet all you want, you can do whatever you want. The bus is going to pass you by, and you're going to be sitting there going, what did I do? Or maybe they won't. They're the kind of kids that, and listen, I get it. You came from the mean streets and you guys are street guys and all that cool shit. I get it, but you got to play the game a little bit, and you got to do what you're supposed to do.
Have you personally said this to them, or would you, or are you just waiting?
Of course I would. You can't talk to these guys. You can't can't pick up the phone and call these guys. They're just, I talked to Nick. I offered him the Lombard fight. He said he was interested in it, and then gone, disappears. Can't contact him again. You can't get a hold of him. And listen, this is one of those things. Life goes on. Life goes on without anybody. You know what I mean? Presidents of countries leave, die, move on, whatever. The world moves on without you, man. This is your time to make money. This is your time to do all these things. And if you just let it pass you by, that's your decision. You're grown men. I hear all the things. We don't know how to pay our taxes. We don't know how to buy houses. We don't know how to. Well, you're grown men. You better fucking figure it out quick, because the bus is going to pass you by.
And one more thing. There's been reports kind of all over the place about Dan Henderson and Daniel Cormier. Is that fight happening? And if so, when, where?
I did not. At no point in time have I ever announced that fight or said that fight would happen or anything.
Which one? So,
Cormier Henderson.
so you haven't said it, is it?
I haven't said that.
I
I've
know
not
you-
said
I know
that
you
fight
haven't, but we're
happened.
at-
If it was
is it
happening, I
happening?
would have announced it.
Okay.
I didn't announce it.
Okay.
Call Arahawani. He announced that fight, not me.
Did you pitch July 5th for Gina Carano and Alexis Davis ended up? That wasn't.
wait, oh.
Did you originally propose the Ronda fight with Gina Carano for July 5th? No.
So how did you come to Alexis? Because that was just kind of out of the
Rhonda called me
blue.
and said, I want to fight. Yeah. Rhonda is my new Chuck Liddell, man. Seriously. She's my new Chuck Liddell. She will fight anybody, anywhere, anytime. She wants to stay busy. She wants to keep fighting. If you tell her she can't fight, she'll say, fuck you, I want to fight. You know, she wants to fight. So she'll fight back to back. She'll fight in 24 hours notice. She's the new Chuck Liddell.
With GSP stepping out of the UFC, I feel that if GSP would still be in the UFC, probably this whole event would have been probably one notch bigger, just having GSP attending the event. Sometimes he has this huge impact in Quebec. I feel that Quebecers, they follow athletes and not the sport.
Right.
So when with Olivier Aubin-Mercier not performing to the top as Quebecers expected, what's your strategy to keep the Quebecer fans?
Tonight did perform.
But I mean, like,
Tonight was an above-average Ultimate Fighter. For a Wednesday night, it was one of the highest gates we've done for an Ultimate Fighter, and this was on Wednesday. All the other ones were on Saturday. This was a good event for the Ultimate Fighter.
So the Quebec market is not, you're not worried about losing the Quebec
Not
market?
even a little bit. Nope.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Last time we were in Quebec with Georges St. Pierre, he didn't sell out.
When was that? At the Bell Center, not
yeah.
Quebec City. Okay.
Yeah.
Dana, can I ask a question relating to GSP though? That in many ways the welterweight division now is more exciting than it's been for years and years. I mean, you can look at 8-9 guys and match them all up together, and they're just
Yeah.
incredible fights.
I
Aren't
agree.
They? Fan pleasers.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Was that great question?
That's kind of
Huh?
it, really.
I love your questions. I don't have to do anything.
Can I ask another one then?
Sure. Ask me 10.
Last week, I don't know if you commented on this, but last week Ramsey Nijam really stood out in Abu
became a
Dhabi
big
as
star.
new star. Yes.
Yep, in the Middle
Talk
East.
about him a little bit and how important it is to have stars in new zones, because he really, I don't know, he just really came of age, didn't he?
When you know, I was talking about this with Gary, and you know, you go into these markets with these fights, and you have these guys that are locals from local markets. It's just like Georges St. Pierre. I mean, we talk about Georges St. Pierre in Canada. I mean, he exploded into this huge star here, and you bring a guy like Ramsey in there, and
It's the catalyst for a new era almost, isn't
yeah,
it?
no, it's when you go into these markets with these guys. Canadians like to see Canadians do well, you know. Brits like to see Brits do well, and the list goes on and on. And when you bring somebody in, you know, if you look at the Middle East, it's not like they have a lot of really big name fighters that come out of the Middle East, and now they have this kid and they got behind him, and he came out and performed. He was a 3-1 underdog in that fight.
I'll be thinking.
He looked like a 3-1 favorite in the actual fight.
You know, in the world of hockey, a lot of people are being worried about concussion, players getting injured. You even hear like parents saying, "Oh, I don't want my kid to play hockey; it's too dangerous."
It's like football in the States.
Yeah, exactly. So with martial arts and the MMA, what's the strategy for the UFC to convince parents to make their kids feel safe to practice martial arts?
Yeah, I mean it's the new hot topic everywhere. I mean it is here for hockey. In the United States, it's insane with football, and I don't know if it's a question. Like in the United States, when I did the Jim Rome show in the U.S. and they were talking about how football, like Little League football, like Pop Warner, is down 20%, and you know, Little League football, I'm in it because my son plays it. Both my sons play football. They play tackle football, and they love it. I'm not a football guy. My kids they love football. What am I going to do? You know, I'm going to tell my kids they can't do what they're passionately into, what they love to do. I guess I could as a parent, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that. Actually fund the team. And the reality is, you want to know why football is down 20% with Pop Warner? Because there's no money. Pop Warner football is expensive as hell. All the teams we play, they don't have the same jerseys on. Their pants are all different colors. They don't even have the same color helmets. You know, it's very expensive, and the economy is still really bad in the United States, and that's why football is down 20%. Not because of concussions, but concussions is a big deal. And we had a kid on our team last season that got a concussion, and we brought him to the hospital. We got him looked at. You know, you get it taken care of. People have been having concussions. If you look at the fight business, okay, right? Now, I get football because in football, and maybe even hockey too, you know, they say, hey, wear your helmets. As long as you have your helmet on, you know, you're going to be safe, whatever. And nowhere, in any time throughout the history of the world, did anybody ever say, getting punched in the face is probably good for you. It's probably good for you, and I'm probably going to have great repercussions from it later on in life. Yeah. Nobody thinks that. The difference is, in combat sports, I truly believe that some of these people were put on this earth to fight. And you know it when you meet them. You know it when you know. Look at Ronda Rousey. I'm telling you, Ronda Rousey, when you really know Ronda Rousey, like I really know Ronda Rousey, she's out doing so many movies right now, she doesn't have a second to herself. She wants to fight. She wants to fight this summer. And she's probably going to want to fight right after that again, too. And, you know, that's the way Chuck Liddell was, and that's the way a lot of these guys are. You can't stop them. And at the end of the day, a grown man or woman is going to do whatever they want to do.
The UFC has evolved so much in the last 25 years. I think it's amazing what's happening with this. I love this sport.
Thank you.
At night, when Dana White goes to bed and start dreaming and start thinking about what's going to happen to the UFC, where do you dream to see the UFC in 25 years?
Well, you know, when we bought this company, we set out to create a sport where it is, you know, we'll call it played in every country all over the world, and that's what we literally get up every day and work toward. This summer, we're doing the Ultimate Fighter soon here within the next couple weeks with the women, the 115-pound division, which we're bringing into the UFC now. And right back to back, then I start filming Mexico. So we're going to do the first Ultimate Fighter Mexico. Mexico is our next Brazil. Mexico is going to be so big, it's going to be ridiculous. 2 white guys, okay? Johnny Hendricks and Robbie Lawler fought in a main event in Texas. It did 4.3 million viewers in Mexico.
Wow.
Yeah. So imagine if a Mexican was involved in that fight, how big the fight would have been. And we're just starting to create awareness in Mexico and really starting to get that market kick-started. So, and the other answer to your question is about what are we doing about concussions. We've actually spent a lot of money on research on concussions and how to. There's something really interesting right now that some doctors believe that there's a gene. Like, some of us get cancer. Some of us get what is it?
Some people break their bones all the time. Some people.
Well, what's the disease there? Like Muhammad Ali, Parkinson's disease. Some fighters get it, and some fighters who are in wars don't get it or don't even have symptoms of being punch drunk and still remember things. They're starting to believe that there's a gene where people are susceptible to brain damage more than other people are susceptible to brain damage. And if that is true, they could come up with a test where you could find out. And if that's the case, you probably shouldn't be playing any type of sport where you could get a concussion or take damage to the head. So we're putting a lot of money into funding these tests. And we just got together with all the other promoters of combat sports, not just MMA, but boxing. And we're kicking in money together to keep these studies going. So, to answer your question, I think that was what you wanted.
Pretty good. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Piggybacking off the care of the guys in the sport. Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira fought last week. He was knocked out pretty badly.
Yeah.
He's had some rough go of late. I mean, do you have any thoughts on like where he is? And
so what happened is, obviously, as soon as he got knocked out, I was getting blown up by media guys saying, "What do you want him to do?" So out of respect for Nogueira, I didn't want to say anything until he said something publicly. Then he came out and said he wants to fight Frank Mir. I don't want to see Nogueira fight ever again. He should retire. He is a war horse. That guy has been in just the battles and pride that he's been in, let alone the fights that he's fought in the UFC. He is one of the most respected fighters in the world by other fighters, let alone by fans. And I like him very much too. So I wanted to give him the opportunity to say something first. And now I'm going to say, Big Nog, I love you, but I'd love you to never fight again.
So how do you handle that then? Like if he says, I want to fight, what do you do? I mean, do you
I've been in this position a million times, so we'll figure it out.
And Frankie Edgar came out the other day and said that he's worried his fight with BJ Penn is going to be overshadowed due to the massive card the night before. How do you make sure that both those cards kind of get the proper attention? More importantly, you have 4 cards in 8 days in that really same area. How do you make sure all those are promoted correctly?
Yeah, well, we've never done it before. We've never gone back to back like that. So this is a new one for us. We're going to do what we do. And Frankie should just worry about fighting and not worry about the promotion of the fight. I mean, a fight between him and BJ Penn is never going to be overshadowed by anything. The fight's going to be a great fight, and it's going to do well. And it's on free TV. So,
Without giving anything away of the season that kicked off tonight, how big of a role does Mark Coleman have on this particular series?
big role this season, yeah. Things are never dull with Mark Coleman involved. So there's some very fun Mark Coleman moments the fans are going to love this season. Good?
Thanks, everybody.
Talking about the question, what about the local clubs MMA clubs that teaches kids MMA? What's your point?
Yeah, I'm 44 years old. When I was growing up, your parents would put you in karate or taekwondo. Mixed martial arts is the new martial art that kids are taking all over the world, not just here in Quebec or Canada. But yeah, it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Obviously, anything in life, take anything, take any sport out there. If you are a professional athlete, it takes a toll on your body, no matter what sport you play. I don't care if you're a cheerleader, okay? It takes a toll on your body. And if you look at the negatives versus the positives in your children training in mixed martial arts, there are way more positives than there are negatives. It's so easy to point out negatives and everything. I mean, you could just sit around for days and point out negative shit about everything in life. But if you look at the mixed martial arts for young children, there's way more positives, and for adults.
Did Conor McGregor get cleared yet?
Not yet. Not yet. He should, though. Apparently, from what I hear, he's training 100% and doing his thing, so he just hasn't been cleared. He hasn't seen his doctor yet to be cleared. So.
Do you have any updates on Uriah Faber's condition?
What's his condition?
I mean, he hasn't fought for a while, but I mean,
he just fought.
He just fought, but
Yeah.
do you feel he's gonna fight like Dominic Cruz on?
Well, his last fight, he went back to back. He fought back to back fights.
So do you have any updates on his form? Is he gonna fight soon or?
Nah, I think he's just relaxing right now, and I'm not sure when we'll get him back in there.
Does a fight with Dominic seems to make sense?
With who?
Dominic Cruz.
Dominic?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dominic Cruz, I don't know what's going on with Dominic Cruz. That kid is, kid's had the worst luck. If it wasn't for bad luck, he'd have no luck.
What about this whole John Jones, Glover Teixeira, kind of the random drug testing thing? What do you kind of make of that whole situation? Jones kind of requesting it, and you guys made it happen and paid for it and everything. So would you like to see more of this?
Requested it, and I called Teixeira, and Teixeira said they can come over to my gym right now and test me. Send them over.
So would you like to see more of that happening with these guys kind of asking for it and whatnot?
Yeah. I mean, did you think one of them were on drugs?
Me personally, no, but I was surprised when Jones came out and said it. But I think it's still a good thing for the sport because
I don't disagree. There's going to be times when guys want to. You don't think that was a mind fuck for Teixeira, and then Teixeira mind fucked him right back and said, "Come to my gym today and test me." Dope. Well, that didn't work, did it? I think that. I think a lot less guys are on drugs than people think they are. These guys are getting tested. You realize we've been testing. Normally when you go into you go in and test guys, the main event always gets tested, and then they do random testing. We've been testing everybody on the card with all the fights we've been doing.
Randomly though, or just like post-fight, pre-fight type thing?
Yeah, post-fight testing the whole card. You're supposed to test the main event and some randoms. We've been testing everybody. I think the last positive drug test we had was, and it wasn't, what's the name? It was that TRT shit, Bigfoot, right? Am I wrong?
in Australia.
Yeah.
But people's concerns are more, it's what's the expression? It's a
Come on, give me a break.
Well, sure,
People's
but-
concerns. We've been testing everybody on the card. This is fun for you guys to talk about.
No,
I get it. No, this is fun. Reporters love talking about this. It's fun.
But
Guys have been getting tested like crazy. His ratio was over with the TRT junk. Boys, TRT is gone. It's over. The fun stories are done.
But not even talking TRT. Like an issue a lot of people have is
Everybody's got issues.
well, sure, but the
full of shit.
the random testing.
They're full
is,
of guys. There's no random testing. Guys are getting tested. Everything. Jones called Teixeira out. He said, "Come to my gym today." These guys are getting tested. Nobody's testing positive. It's all a crock of shit created by you guys. ESPN did that thing with the TRT bullshit, and 5 guys were on fucking TRT. And now that fucking shit is gone, and I couldn't be happier. Nobody gets it. Nobody understands it. Every doctor has a different fucking story for it. We still today, we're sitting there, the guys who are now off the TRT drug, right? And they're trying to get their find out where their levels are. It's still fucking crazy. Even when they're off it, it's crazy. So it's gone. It's never going to be here again. We're testing all the guys on cards. Guys are calling guys out to be tested. I called the media out and told me to fucking tell me who they want tested. We'll test anybody, and nobody's testing positive. Fun's over, boys. I'll see you later.